morning. How are you?
I've been better. For someone who...
People feel very nervous when they walk into the courtroom.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Take your time.
Thank you.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Lacey Matthew. I also go by Lacey Crisp.
Thank you. I'm Joan Sonnenberg. Nice to meet you. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. You have a right to be here. The law provides you an opportunity to come in and talk about how you've been impacted by this offense. Okay?
Thank you.
And someone's with you?
Yeah, this is my friend Beth.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? Nice to see you too. All right, so we just heard a summary of what occurred here. What would you like to say?
For someone who talks on TV every day, this scares me. He terrifies me. He has no respect for life or for anyone, and I think that's what truly makes him dangerous to the community. It's been just over a year since photographer and I were robbed at gunpoint. There has not been a day since then that I have not thought about the robbery. It has had long-lasting impacts on me and on my family. On December 28th, 2017, photographer Eric Walls and I were out doing a story on firefighters dealing with the cold. There had been a house fire overnight at 99th and St. Clair, so we went out to that house to use as a backdrop for our live shots. We had done our live shots at 4 o'clock and at 5 o'clock with no incident. We were waiting to do our 6 o'clock story. It was about 5 o'clock, 5:15, Eric and I were sitting in the truck when all of a sudden our doors opened. And two guys with ski masks on, with guns, told us to hand over our wallets and phones. I didn't realize what was going on at first because people approach our live trucks all the time. And Eric told me, "Lacey, he has a gun in my ribs. Hand over your stuff." So Eric and I did as they said. We grabbed out our phones and we handed them over. But that wasn't good enough. They wanted me to wipe off the passcode on my phone. I didn't know how. So I kept handing my phone over, putting the pin in, handing it back, and he would hand it back to me. They held us there for several terrifying minutes. And I thought for sure that he was going to shoot me because I didn't know how to take the passcode off my phone. That's how terrifying it was. As soon as we got out of the truck, as soon as the three kids, there was one behind, ran away, and we could tell they were very young kids. Neighbors came out and they asked us what just happened. And I said, we were just robbed at gunpoint. They looked like three very young kids. And the first thing one of those neighbors said is, "That's Eddie and them." They knew him because they terrorized that neighborhood. Now the robbers were bold. They knew exactly what they were doing. They wore ski masks. They asked me to wipe my phone as if they were experienced professionals. My biggest concern is if Eddie does not spend enough time in jail, he will be back out on the streets doing this again, terrorizing and hurting more people. Almost every aspect of my life has changed since the robbery happened. It's taken my sense of security and safety. My family and I have been forced to move because of this robbery. Now, as a reporter, I go out into neighborhoods every single day. I talk to people I don't know. This robbery has changed my job. I can't do my job the way I used to. I'm terrified, especially when people come up and approach me and they approach our live trucks. I never used to go out and be concerned about covering a story and if I'm safe to be there. Now that is my first and my primary concern, is if I can safely cover something. I have a lot of anxiety when I go out into the field, when I do my job. I love my job. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing, but it's changed the way I go about in doing it. Here's an example for you. Back in September, we were covering a massive fire at an apartment complex. And a photographer and I had stopped. It was in Richmond Heights. We had stopped for gas 2 blocks away. A man walked up to the photographer as he's filling up with gas, and he asked him for money. I started having an anxiety attack. I thought he was going to have a gun, and I thought he was going to pull a gun on us. Fortunately, the photographer was able to get him to leave us alone. it would give me a lot of comfort to know that someone as dangerous, someone who cares as little for others as Eddie does, would be put behind bars for several years for the safety of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matthew. I'm sorry for what you experienced. You did a really good job of expressing how you feel and how you've been impacted every day by this crime. Thank you for being here today.